Vegeta finally achieved Ultra Instinct, and all this in preparation for the most important battle of his life, and I will show you everything. So, without further delay, let's go. Since the moment Vegeta began his training with Whis, there was a burning desire within him to achieve that absolute power that Goku had touched, the legendary Ultra Instinct. Although the Saiyan Prince never said it openly, it was visible in his eyes, in every blow he exchanged against Goku, in every intensive training session on Beerus's planet. Vegeta always sought to be ahead, to surpass limits, and to prove not only to the universe but to himself that his determination was as grand as his pride, and when he saw Goku achieve Ultra Instinct in the Tournament of Power, something inside him awakened. It was not envy but an intense flame that said, "I also want to master that power." Whis, with his serenity and wisdom, perceived this from the beginning. He saw in Vegeta a warrior with a pure heart in the sense of the fight, but also someone who carried rage, impatience, and a heavy emotional burden, traits that distanced him from the state of absolute calm necessary for Ultra Instinct. Even so, Whis never stopped him from trying. On the contrary, he provoked him, challenged him to find the balance between power and mind, between emotion and instinct. And although Vegeta did not know it then, Whis was preparing him not only for Ultra Instinct but for something far beyond. During the first months of training, Vegeta tried to copy Goku's every move. He observed the lightness, the fluidity, and the almost unconscious way his rival's body reacted. However, the more he tried to imitate him, the further away he became. Whis one day said something that profoundly marked Vegeta. "You will never achieve Ultra Instinct by trying to be someone you are not. Power is born from understanding yourself, not from imitating others." These words echoed in the prince's mind for a long time until he began to realize that the true path to power was not in following Goku's footsteps, but in charting his own. Even so, Vegeta did not give up on the idea of Ultra Instinct. He saw that power as the climax of self-mastery, the pinnacle of the fight, the personification of the pure instinct that every warrior should achieve. In his heart, he believed that if he could master that state, he would become a complete warrior. But Whis saw things differently. Vegeta was trying to achieve a divine power with a mortal warrior's mentality. This, for an angel, was a paradox, but also a promise of something unprecedented. As training intensified, Vegeta began to understand that Ultra Instinct was not just about speed or strength, but about freeing the mind, and that was exactly what he couldn't do. Vegeta was a man of strong convictions, firm thoughts, and his head was always full of strategies, emotions, and memories of the past. He carried the weight of his race, the trauma of being subjugated by Frieza, and the pride of being the Saiyan Prince. All this prevented him from emptying his mind. In other words, he was the perfect opposite of what Ultra Instinct demanded. But Vegeta, being who he is, turned this weakness into fuel. He began to meditate, to try to understand Whis' lessons, albeit in his own way. Every defeat served as a learning experience. When Goku awakened complete Ultra Instinct again during the Tournament of Power, Vegeta did not feel rage, he felt inspiration. For the first time, he understood that that power was not something to be taken by force, but something to be conquered with understanding. It was a power that demanded harmony between body and spirit. Even after realizing this, Vegeta remained obsessed. He believed that if Goku could reach that state, he could too. However, over time, Whis revealed a truth to him that would change everything. "You don't need the same path as Goku, your path is different, Vegeta." And it was that phrase that gave rise to what would later become Ultra Ego. Even so, the desire to understand Ultra Instinct never completely disappeared. Deep down, Vegeta wanted to master both the power of destruction and the divine instinct. The most interesting thing is that Vegeta, upon awakening Ultra Ego, began to understand Ultra Instinct a little better. He realized that both are opposite faces of the same divine essence, the balance between creation and destruction, calm and fury, defense and attack. Whis was satisfied to see that, even without realizing it, Vegeta had reached a stage close to what he had sought from the beginning. Ultra Ego was, in a way, the natural expression of his soul, and that made him unique among all warriors. As time passed, Vegeta began to train differently. He stopped thinking of Ultra Instinct as a destiny and began to see it as a concept. He understood that absolute power does not come from trying to mold oneself to a standard, but from accepting who you are completely. This maturation made Whis see even greater potential in Vegeta than in Goku, not because he was stronger, but because his journey was more complex and personal. The prince was not seeking power to defeat others, but to understand the very meaning of being a Saiyan warrior. Even so, deep down, Vegeta still dreams of the day when he will achieve Ultra Instinct, not as a copy of Goku, but as an improved version of himself. He wants to prove that he can reach that level while maintaining his pride, his essence, and his emotions, and perhaps when that moment arrives, he will unite instinct and ego, creating something new, a state that will represent the balance between the divine and the mortal. Whis knows this, and perhaps that is why he continues training both without revealing all the secrets. He understands that Goku and Vegeta are two halves of the same path. One represents the flow of freedom, the other the force of conviction. And that is precisely why Vegeta's desire for Ultra Instinct is so fascinating, because he is not just seeking power but understanding. Deep down, Vegeta always wanted Ultra Instinct not out of envy, but because it represents what he most desires, total mastery over himself. It is the final realization of a warrior who lived between arrogance and redemption, between chaos and discipline, and while many see Ultra Instinct as the end of the journey, Vegeta sees it as the beginning of a new one in which he will finally become the perfect warrior, molded not by destiny, but by his own will. Even so, in the Granola Saga, Vegeta made a decision that would define a new direction for his trajectory. Instead of continuing to try to achieve Ultra Instinct, he decided to follow the opposite path, the path of destruction, the god of destruction power. It was there that Vegeta understood that Whis was right all along. His power was not born from serenity, but from intensity. He channeled all the fury, pride, and suffering of a true Saiyan and transformed them into fuel for his Ultra Ego. This power made him increasingly dangerous and at the same time more authentic. For the first time, Vegeta felt that he was forging his own path without depending on Goku's shadow. However, now with Goku mastering true Ultra Instinct, a version that does not require the total neutralization of emotions, but rather the harmony between feeling and instinct, the scenario changes completely. This new state of Goku proves that it is possible to fight using emotions, nature, and even Saiyan pride, without losing focus or the purity of instinct. This ignited a new spark in Vegeta, because if true Ultra Instinct accepts emotions, then there is no longer a reason for Vegeta to reject it. He can, finally, seek this power in his own way, molding it to his destructive and warrior essence. Whis, observing this evolution, realized that the destiny of the two Saiyans was about to converge. While Goku perfected his mastery over instinct through the understanding of his emotions, Vegeta could do the same, but through the acceptance of his indomitable nature. What Ultra Instinct needs is synchronicity between body and spirit, and Vegeta, by embracing his own identity, can finally achieve that harmony. Only instead of a calm and divine state like Goku's, his Ultra Instinct would be savage, explosive, and instinctive on another level, something truly original. This possibility becomes even more relevant in the face of the threat of Black Frieza. This new enemy not only surpassed both in power, but also in control and mastery over himself. Frieza achieved an absurd mental and physical balance after training in a temporal dimension, and because of this, neither Goku's Ultra Instinct nor Vegeta's Ultra Ego alone would be enough to defeat him. The only way to face him would be with something new, a conceptual fusion, a union between the power of instinct and the power of destruction. Vegeta, more than ever, finds himself before the opportunity to unite both in a single supreme state. Imagine then Vegeta mastering the instinct of pride, a state where his body moves by natural impulse, but his essence remains impregnated with fury and conviction. He would not need to empty himself of emotions like Goku, but rather use them as a driving force. The result would be a hybrid form, with the unpredictability of Ultra Instinct and the brutal power of Ultra Ego. And ironically, this form would be born precisely from what Vegeta avoided for so long, the balance between emotion and control, destruction and instinct. Goku and Vegeta this time would not be competing, they would be evolving in complementary directions. True Ultra Instinct represents the perfect adaptation of the body to emotion, while Ultra Ego represents the perfect liberation of power through pride. If Vegeta manages to master an instinctive variation within Ego, we will have for the first time two sides of the same concept in harmony, ready to face an enemy that represents the climax of malice and control, Black Frieza. And when that battle arrives, the universe will see what is purest in the Saiyan legacy. Vegeta will not just be fighting for glory or redemption, but to prove that power does not belong only to those who follow the path of divine calm, but also to those who live intensely. With blood boiling, with unwavering pride, and with the flame of instinct burning in every blow. It will be in this confrontation that the Saiyan Prince will show that Ultra Instinct and Ultra Ego are not rivals. They are, in fact, two faces of the same warrior spirit that only a true Saiyan could understand and master. But comment on what you thought of all this, and don't forget the like. Thank you very much for the support from all of you, and until next time,